parts of the podcast, some of our voices will drop out, but you will get the gist of the conversation. Excuse us for us Ontario internet problems. As Kirby and Sean said, the West Coast internet is the best. Welcome to the COG Arcade, episode 11. With us is the usual crew of Kirby, Jen, Sean, and myself, John.
Hello.
Hola.
Hello.
Those three fine folks over there, along with Trevor Houston, otherwise known as Biggie or Mr. Big Cat, have all come back from E3 and have been writing up a whole lot of previews that I've been thoroughly enjoying. Batman Origins piqued my interest, but before we really delve into E3, probably should talk about some of the games that have come out. The big one is Last of Us. I know Sean's played it a little bit. All I know is it's reviewing well, and everybody says it's awesome. What do you say?
You know, I mean, it's Naughty Dog. Obviously, you know it's gonna, I mean, with all the hype's obviously been pretty well deserved. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it's known to be an emotional game, and it didn't take long for me to actually tear up and be a bit of a bitch. I was a little embarrassed by it. No, I mean, it's basically almost like a movie come to life. They've done a good job. I mean, at least for the 4.5 hours or 5 hours I've played. Need to play more, though. I need to finish it up.
Fans of Uncharted, really love it, or is it something that like,
it felt very similar to me, control-wise. I don't know. The only thing, my only issue is the controlling of Joel, the character. It feels a little bit floaty to me, but it just seems so secondary to the idea that it's so much more story driven. I mean, there's a multiplayer option on it, and I don't think I'd ever even touch it because I just don't care. It's all about the story for that one. And from what I've seen, like I say, up till now, I'm kind of, if it wasn't for all the work that I had to do for all the E3 stuff and everything else, I would have played it nonstop.
Well, I know there's a few members in our community who actually are I wouldn't say anti Last of Us, but they just don't seem to be grasped. It's not gripping them as much as they had thought. CJ, and I think Rod, I'm not singling you out, Rod. I said Rod. Yeah, it's just not grabbing them, a couple of guys. And that kind of surprises me because usually when a game reviews early, they're sending it out thinking the good scores will come out and that'll be our Metacritic scores. And it's still, I think it's Metacriticing in a 95 and
high 90s or mid high.
That's pretty darn impressive in my books.
Exactly. That qualifies as awesome. So I don't understand people who are basically anti-awesome. So this Rod guy, I don't know, man.
Rod, we're singling you out again.
I don't know if I trust this guy.
But I haven't played Last of Us, but I've played Uncharted, and I don't see what the deal is. And everybody's like, these games are awesome. And I just couldn't get into them. I don't know if I just couldn't relate to the character. So I probably...
Well, you weren't Scott C. Jones from Electric Playground who gave it a 6.5. Right at you, Scott. Stop it. We're not Scott bashing. We are talking about Last of Us.
No, but right. It's good for him as a journalist to get an emotional appeal from me. I'm like, oh man, I just want to slap him. So
to be fair though, it's good for him not to bend because everybody else is saying it's awesome, and for him to speak his mind and say, you know what, to hell with you guys, I don't like it. Everybody's got a differing opinion. Yeah. It was probably a lot harder for him to pan it, right? And then it would have been for him to just go, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Everybody loves it. I love it too.
Gotta give him respect for that.
No, hold on here. Hold on. Jen, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, just checking.
I don't have a PS3, so I'm kind of just ignoring.
And you call yourself a
PS3 talk?
Okay, so we've totally talked about The Last of Us and how awesome sauce it is.
Talking about now?
John, what are we talking about now?
Well, we got a few little releases, nothing crazy. What do you guys think of new Super Luigi U coming out as a kind of companion for...
I think it's kind of neat. It's a downloadable content for the game, changes it quite a bit actually. And it being the year of Luigi, hey, good for the man in the green plumber hat.
Do we know the cost on that? How much is that?
Why don't we send it to somebody in the press room to go find it?
I want to say it's $19, somewhere around there, maybe a little less. Because I think the standalone retail cost is $29 in August when you can buy it as a disc.
Okay, yeah, because if you're talking $20 to add on, basically double your stages, it's totally worth it for sure. It is kind of more the same, but it's still worth it.
It also adds a new character as well. Besides Luigi.
That's Luigi.
No. There's that guy when you're playing. I don't know if you guys all played it.
You gotta chase him down.
The guy you have to chase. He's a playable character now. But the cool thing about him is he can't get hurt by the guys. He just keeps on running, but he can still.
That's Nabbit, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Nabbit. That's the name.
Nabbit.
So we have Jackson Daxter collection that's come out. I think that's for the Vita for people to replay games from a long time ago.
I haven't played that, but my understanding from reading a few of my fellow journalists is, it's just not really worth the money.
I saw it, and I'm like, I only own one.
I think I played Jak and Daxter. I mean, they had something on the PS1, didn't they? Like way back.
Yes, they've had it over and over again.
I think I might have played it, but yeah, it's never been anything that's caught my attention, so I can't really speak on it too much.
And of course, we've just recently reviewed Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
He gave it a good score too.
Yeah, 85.
Nice. 85, Mr. What do we call him? Mr. High Park. That sounds very Korean. Is he Korean?
He's a displaced Canadian. He's from Ontario, but he's living in Florida right now.
Korean Canadian?
I don't know if he's Korean Canadian, man. He's just High Park. Why you gotta label him?
The last name Park. I think I envision him eating kimchi.
I love noodles.
I do too.
I had noodles for supper.
Riveting conversation. He gave it a solid 85, so that it's got to be good. 85 is a solid score.
It true is.
Came out today, right?
Today, yes.
All right, cool. I'll have to check it out. I'm a D&D nerd. All right. Who's excited for Deadpool?
I was until it kind of went to a different PR firm. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, all I know is Wade he's the best smack-talking bad guy / good guy in the Marvel U, so I'm pretty stoked. If only just for the wordplay.
I'm looking forward to Deadpool just for the whole fact that there's nothing really else to play right now. I'm glad there's something coming out that might.
It's going to get mighty sparse as we lead into November, December, because everybody's prepping for the next round. So there's not a lot coming at all for sure.
Well, speaking of that next round, you guys were just at E3. Lucky guys. I heard you guys, from what I've seen from the tweets, Sean, you need to lay off the sauce.
It was busy. But Jen had an
fun to be had.
Runners are those you wore, Jen?
A6.
So she was good to go.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So the big thing about E3 was the consoles. So we're not going to talk about today's announcement, so let's just talk about E3 itself. Based on their presentations and everything, which consoles did you guys really want to back based on the announcements?
Personally, I thought Microsoft had a better press conference, and then in terms of the exclusives, in terms of the games, they talked about it being about the games. It was indeed about the games. They've shown their commitment to having roll out what exclusives to the Xbox One. You know, they announced their price, which nobody saw that coming. They gave a hard month at least. And Sony's press conference, for me, I can't speak for the others, but for me, was meh. None of their exclusives interested me. And that conference didn't get exciting until they decided to take their shots at Microsoft about the DRM, the 24-hour checking in, you can still pass your games to your friends, and then their price being $100 cheaper. Which to me, I don't know how they're doing that, but whatever, it's Sony. Fill your boots. So for me, the better press conference in terms of overall was Microsoft. And Sony, you know, they blew everybody out of the water with their announcements at the end.
Yeah, and I'll back Kirby up on that too. I mean, sitting in the Microsoft conference, game after game, you're like, holy crap. You know, more and more came out. And when you look at overall, most of what they showed us, good amount of what they showed us in that hour and a half or however long we were in there was exclusive, right? Whereas when we went to Sony, like Kirby was saying, I mean, if anything, we saw more cross-platform titles, right? You know, like, oh, let's focus on Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Well, that's awesome, but I can get that on the Xbox. We talked about it, Kirby, on the way back and stuff. The advantage Sony had to being second or third, you know, or whatever in the day to be able to do their presser. I still don't think that their $399 was their original price. I would be surprised. They, you know, Microsoft goes and says, here, this is what we're charging them. And Sony goes, all right, here's our chance to jump on them and, you know, pull out the eraser and change that price.
Would have been funny if you saw the whiteout and somebody had a 3.
Or a piece of paper taped over the first number with something drawn on in crayon, because I just didn't believe that. And then obviously it was all the big stabs on how to, you know, on the DRM and everything else. And for all the hype and everything that they generated, everybody's standing and clapping and all this stuff, for all of that, it's now a moot point anyway. And so the only real difference is a dollar value. For me, as a gamer, if I was only getting one and now all we're talking about is $100 difference, I'm going where the games are. I'd still go Xbox day one for me.
What do you think?
Better games.
I have to agree with you, I guess, game-wise, but I was really excited by some of the Sony announcements. But again, they're cross-platform, right?
Did you notice, Jen, with the cross-platform too, the big thing for Sony was they were really pushing, we're going to give you the extra content or the bonus outfit.
Well, this is the thing.
Or you're going to get this pair of sneakers for your character.
Yeah. Ubisoft, for example, I know they tend to favor Sony with their games, and they'll often have exclusives for Assassin's Creed, likely with Watch Dogs. But I think of the games at Microsoft, for example, Rise. I was so excited when I saw that. Killer Instinct. All of these exclusives, like you say, they were really exciting.
Sunset Overdrive.
Awesome. But then again, some of the titles I saw at PlayStation really excited me, like the Order 1886, even though we don't know very much about it. That brief trailer that I saw was pretty exciting.
I think that's where Microsoft kind of outdid Sony. Was the majority, not all, but the majority of their games were like, you saw playable demos of some sort on the screen, and then most of them were playable on the floor. Most of Sony's exclusive PS4 stuff was trailer form.
And then if it was even playable on I don't even think it was playable on the show floor.
I don't recall seeing a lot of PS4 stuff playable on the floor of their exclusives. Yeah, to be fair though, I mean, some of the stuff they saw, like, what is it, Beyond Two Souls or whatever, the one that's got Ellen Page and whatnot, I mean, that looks good. I mean,
that's a PS3 game, isn't it not?
Yeah.
There you go. Not even PS4. We were chatting on the way, Kirby, chatting with Victor Lucas about it. And this is my personal opinion is that people are starting to get really tired. I mean, a game like Titanfall and everything, it's going to do well. Don't get me wrong, but I can shoot at things in any game. I need more depth to what I'm seeing, and you need more story. And that's where Sony has a lot of strength in that their studios tell stories. I mean, that's Naughty Dog's obviously their biggest strength is that they can tell a good story. Whereas I don't know if there's this, like, who do we got from Microsoft where you would sit down and play a Microsoft game and go, holy shit, that story was amazing. Not just, it looked good and I shot a bunch of stuff, right? Quantum Break, it looks like it might step in that direction.
Well, Quantum Break, still nobody has a clue what it's going to do. I sat in behind a closed door meeting with them. I didn't even realize how lucky I was. Supposedly they were only there for that day for like half the day when they were talking to us about it, saying that how when you buy Quantum Break, you actually get the TV series.
So the whole series, you were saying? Yeah,
you get that whole season. And you're going to basically watch TV series and then play the game. And they showed us the actors and then they compared them to what they are in the game, and you can see how they're trying to meld it. There's no hard release date. They have a date in their mind, but they're not saying anything because nobody's ever, I think, done something like this. So this will be amazing to see what they can do and if they can pull it off.
I don't know if it was Kirby or it might even been, I think it might have even actually been you, Jen. We were comparing it to, say, something like The Walking Dead, where you are given this choice, and I mean, it's not so much an illusion of choice, but a choice. But for whatever no matter what you choose, it still manages to kind of bring itself around to a similar outcome, right? Because you got to think of like, okay, we're shipping with this TV series is included here now in the game. Bob chooses A, and Cindy chooses B, and Dick chooses C, whatever, right? They can only film so many different things. So you got to wonder if it's going to, despite the choices you make, maybe 3 different endings, but for the most part, it'll all kind of round about back to a similar story. Because, I mean, they can only film or prepare so much. It'll be really interesting because, like, we're just guessing. I mean, I have no idea, but the idea behind it really has me.
Having never played Defiance.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think you can compare it to Defiance.
No? Okay.
Defiance is just a TV show that happens to coincide with the game, but
it's
the gamer's choices don't affect it.
It's more of a game companion, but their events in the TV show are affected in the game, like they show up in games. So
yeah.
Anyhow,
that's the way I understand it. Is like Sean, who we both know there, plays it a lot, and he says like, "Oh, this will happen in the show," and then some sort of event that ripples from that event will happen. Like I don't know if you guys all saw the episode. There's an artifact that one of the main characters, Nolan, finds in the first episode. And so one of the quests in the game is you going to help them find that artifact. So it shows up in the TV series, things like that, where I find what I'm getting from Quantum Break is that it's going to be more integrated. And it seems to be a thing that Microsoft is getting really, really behind as they've announced a Halo series, right, as well. So it seems like, hey, we're going to be doing this kind of like TV show and getting more value into Xbox Live now, which I think is really, really great.
And I think, in regards to, we've talked about Sony and Microsoft and actually, Jen, we need, before I move on here too, what was your view in terms of the overall press conferences? Who won in your mind in terms of what you saw and what you experienced, and who won E3? Like, which press conference?
Yeah, no. Like, are you saying which one did I enjoy the most?
Yeah, like which one did you walk well going? You know what? They sold me on what they're trying to sell.
I have to say, I'm gonna say Sony.
Fair enough.
I guess just being in the audience at the end there and the atmosphere. Everybody cheering when they announced that at the end.
But and I'm not going to take away from, but to me, just because they were happy about the used games and the DRM, and that didn't make that's what made their press conference, in my opinion, but who we can't count out here, and I'm going to say it because I unfortunately was the one to attend, but I attended the Nintendo preview event, which were only a couple of hundred journalists. And I have to say, Nintendo's got some great games coming. Sure, they're their first-party games, but you know what? They're fun.
Yeah, it's an about time sort of thing for me. I mean, everything that we saw, or not saying everything, but a lot of what we saw first-party from Nintendo, I'm excited about. Who cares if, like, some people it's the old standbys. It's like, who cares? Donkey Kong Country, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Give me more of what I like. Give me more.
But it isn't just Donkey Kong Country, because Donkey Kong Country's improved.
Well, that's just it, though. I mean, I'm saying, like, they didn't break the formula or anything like that, but they gave you more of what you love, right? The Mario World 3D, I'm excited. Mario Kart, I'm excited.
And
Wind Waker HD,
Bayonetta,
I'm excited.
and I know Jen played that when we were on our booth tour, but the fact that they've got a game like Bayonetta, that's pretty impressive.
To have a mature title, and it's a pretty decent mature title too.
That's a big step for the Big N.
It is.
The Big N is going to Big M. It's crazy.
Nice to see.
It's our little Marios growing up.
Oh.
How I see the press conferences, I saw an interesting quote that somebody said that Microsoft is coming in and being the strict parent, going, "This is what we need to do. This is how it has to be for everything to succeed," and where basically Sony came along and said, here's some cookies and pot, have fun.
Cookies and pot. They could have been pot cookies.
Before we move on to actually throw in my 2 cents, because everyone's going to how it's going to have to be in regards to Microsoft with their DRM and everything else, right? And everybody just lost their shit because, it's all about used games and stuff. And I think we lose in the long run by catering to the idea of being able to sell used games. And this is why, right? When the original model was when you trade in your game and resell it, like, it wasn't that wasn't an option, but what you're doing is you're selling your license, right? So that means every time that game gets resold, the publisher gets a little bit more money. And we're looking at it going, oh, well, it's because the publishers are greedy or blah, 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 blah. But by them getting a little tiny piece of the pie every single time, in the long run, that is going to bring down the cost of what they need to sell games for. And I can guarantee that in another year or another 2 years, we would have actually seen games dropping from that $60 value to, who knows, maybe a $40 value. Now with all the pressure and everything given in, anybody who wants a new game is still going to pay $60.
So in other words, Sony really screwed us over.
Just before we started, I read a really interesting article, and it made a whole lot of sense about how it works. And I sat back, and I mean, for me, it's never, the used game thing wasn't an issue. it just doesn't bother me. But as I sat back and I took in what I read, I'm like, Jesus,
that was going to happen. And I think it's the same article we read, and I read the same in the comments. That wasn't guaranteed to happen. That was maybe the hope.
That's true.
And I think John mentioned this to me when we were chatting on the phone one day. Steam had a really rough start. Everybody did not want anything to do with Steam. Well, no, because I know John and I were talking about it too earlier, like about 4 or 5 days ago.
Posted an article about Steam specifically and how it works perfectly now.
But yeah, now it does. The thing is we live in a culture where people are very console gamers are set in their ways, and for them to embrace what Microsoft was trying to do, or, now it is what it was trying to do. It was a big leap of faith. Sony grabbed onto that. Sony's PR firm was smart. They said, look at this. Just sit there and let Microsoft get slapped. You know what? we're going to pull the carpet from under them, and they're not going to see it coming.
But I mean, do you think Sony, they not think that Microsoft would backpedal?
I didn't think they were going to backpedal, especially this fast.
I did. I said it as soon as I got on the bus at the PlayStation press conference.
They have to change their mind.
And when I was talking to Kirby the other day, he was like, nah, they're not going to change it. You really think they're going to change? And I'm like, well, they're going to do something. I'm not sure what. I speculated maybe they'll reduce or expand how much time you have to wait and things like that. But for me, after I watched the press conferences, it made me think, I'm like, wow, $100 off. And eventually Valve was like, you know what? We like the games better. Let's just get the Xbox. And we went and pre-ordered on Tuesday. And the more and more I thought about it, I thought about the things like it's going to become like Steam, and Steam has cheaper games. And that's what I really backed it for. I wanted to sit there and go, do you know what? I want to be that early adopter that helps make it cheaper games down the road and better deals and more exclusives for me. The things like Project Spark really intrigued me. I'm like, that looks really awesome. And like, of course there's Halo and
that reveal video was awesome. I don't know about you guys, but that Halo review video kicked ass. I got shivers during that video.
Yeah, but the thing is though, is it's not going to be till sometime late next year.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's a long wait to be revealing it.
They didn't even really reveal. I mean, it was like a game of just the tip. I mean, you barely really saw anything. You know what I mean? Like,
just the tip's fun though.
There was no depth to it, but the way they presented it with Chief or whatever, and the cowl or whatnot, and the rag, still that very second, and then everyone's like, "Holy crap!" Right? So I mean, it worked on me.
All right, here's a question. Everybody answer real quick. What consoles have you pre-ordered? Kirby, go.
Xbox One.
Jen?
I just don't have the money for it yet, so I'm waiting.
Understand.
I went ultra nerd, and I got them both pre-ordered for day one.
If I could afford it, I would get both. So
I went ultra nerd, and I'm proud of it.
I pre-ordered both, but I have to settle down on one. My wife is like, you cannot get both. You have to pick one. So we're backing the one, but I'm still going to keep the pre-order.
Well, then buy the other one and sell it for $1 million before they get more stock in. $1 million.
She might go for it. Who knows? Since you guys were at E3. Jen, what was your best game of E3?
My best of E3? The Witcher 3. Hands down for me. It was truly next gen. The graphics, the gameplay, just everything about it. Mind you, I didn't have the opportunity to visit like the first party booths. You know, I didn't get to see a lot of the games that we saw at the press conference, but considering my appointments, definitely The Witcher 3 was my top of E3.
And I know personally it made me, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I gotta go play the other ones. This just looks awesome.
I know. I haven't played 2, and I have it sitting on my shelf, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I want to play it so bad, but I have to finish all my write-ups first but as soon as I'm done everything, I'm freaking playing that game. But that said, though, there's been apparently a lot of changes to the combat. 3 has been revamped. I don't know, maybe I will wait just to play 3. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks fantastic.
And Sean, your game of E3?
It's so tough. I had a similar situation to Jen in that, based on what I saw appointment-wise as opposed to the whole show, because there was so much to take in and a lot of stuff you didn't really get to get your hands on or anything. I know that it's hyped, and it's been hyped for a while, but I just got more and more excited for Watch Dogs after sitting in with them. It's just everything that they're doing. It's something that we haven't ever really seen in a game before, and some of the depth I saw with how it incorporates a bit of a multiplayer system, and that like anybody in your game that looks like average Joe citizen can actually be another player, and they can mess with you. Very, very excited for what that game has to offer. And once I saw it in action, and, you know, because I was a little bit worried about, it just looked like there's a lot to it that it could confuse people. But once I saw it in action and how it plays, that worry is now gone, and all I've got left is kind of giddy excitement for it. I can't wait to play it.
Watch Dogs definitely has me intrigued. I'm doing that Watch Dogs Live app where it's basically an augmented reality game. It's a GPS.
Yeah, that's Canada only too, isn't it?
Yeah. And I can win a PS4, so I'm not...
United States of America.
America. Pew, pew.
It really does intrigue me, and that gameplay trailer was just fucking spectacular. Just how he took out that room.
You can cuss. That's how goddamn good it was.
Yep. All right, Kirby. What's your game of E3?
All of them's.
I'm gonna go a dual route with this, and you have to understand why. While I'm gonna go with a first party title, being a Microsoft MVP, I'm in love with Forza.
I knew it.
sitting in the back, that behind closed door meeting with Turn 10 and listening to what they've already started to instill. The visuals, when you just sit back and watch it, and I had a chance to play a couple of laps on the track, and it's everything I want in a next-gen racer to this date. And I'll compare it. I went and saw, I didn't get to see the crew, so that's, unfortunate for Ubisoft that I didn't get to see it.
Crew's not a sim, though. It's arcade all the way.
But you saw my Drive Club preview. I thought that was going to be more sim-heavy, and, just read my preview. But
in your preview, you did say it's only 35% done. I guess there is a lot of room for
improvement. But that being said, and I say it in my preview, you would think Sony would have the smarts to bring a level that's as polished or more polished than any part of their game.
Fair enough.
Forza's level, there was you couldn't even compare the two. It was amazing. The difference was amazing, and it was unfair to Drive Club. So I think they shit the bed on that one.
Oh no!
But the other title that really stood out for me, and I don't care if people say, "Oh, you're just jumping on the bandwagon," was Destiny.
I'm excited for that one.
Didn't get the hands-on, but we got behind closed doors, and we sat and watched in depth the gameplay demo they did at the press conference they did for us in terms of the level. And man, the scope, the visuals, it is just amazing. And I can't wait to the only game to me that would compare to that in terms of size and scope will be The Division. But I don't know where The Division's going. Like that game, I watched that gameplay trailer finally for The Division, and I was like, holy shit. So, but I wasn't there and I got to see more of Destiny, and wow, Activision has got something. Bungie is looking to hit out of the home run from the single player to the cooperative to the public events. How seamless it was. Like, that's going to suck a lot of life away.
They said I'm getting excited over here.
Those were, I know I kind of cheated and said 2 games, and I apologize, but...
I could have said like 4. You totally cheated.
Well, hey, I was last. Like Sony.
Any games that surprised you and made you go, oh, wow. Was not totally expecting that, or
I would imagine, John, that you and I were on the same page when got that little tidbit of Battlefront. I almost lost my mind. That was a surprise.
Yeah, I was not expecting Star Wars Battlefront at all.
I know, I was.
Yes, and they showed Hoth, right?
And I guess it was rumored to be coming, but the 14-year-old arcade kid in me literally shit bricks when I saw Killer Instinct. I was so excited. So that, I don't know if that surprised me, as in, I didn't know this was coming, or if it was just like one of the happiest moments of my gaming life, because I loved that game. I don't know how much time or money I spent in the arcade on that thing, so.
What do you think of it being a day one downloadable title? You get Jago, and you have to buy the other characters.
I think it's an interesting model. I mean, depending on what level of commitment you've got to the game, you can go, you know what, I want to master 2 or 3 characters, and I'm going to pay their $4 or whatnot, and play it that way. Or they'll probably offer, from what I've seen and read, they're going to do basically like a season pass idea where you get all of them, right? So in a way, it's a really way. Okay, we're going to release this as a $60 title. Okay, you know what, I'm not really into fighting games. I'm not going to go get it. Oh, okay, so we don't get any of your money. Okay. Well, how about we do this? We're going to give it to you for free, and we're going to give you one guy, and you might like this guy and this guy, and you don't need to commit too much. It'll only cost you $10 to get these 2 characters. So we'll get some of your money. I think they'll make more money doing it that way than if they were to sell it as a standalone title. I think it's smart.
You know what I feel bad, though, is Microsoft paid such a fortune for Rare, and really, what has Rare done? They've done the avatars, they did Conquer, they did Killer Instinct, which is a free-to-play title.
Didn't they do Viva Pinata? Is that another series?
Viva?
But that's not a big game. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've done nothing.
They've done Cameo as well, right?
Yeah,
that you would expect after you spend that much money. And I'm hoping they're working on something that we just don't know about.
I agree, though. I think they have to be disappointed almost in the long run with their purchase. It's not like Sony buying up Sucker Punch or something like that, where they've gotten some really strong titles. They really haven't gotten anything of real note out of Rare. That's a good point.
Maybe Killer Instinct's it. How about you, Jen? Anything surprise you?
The Division. I didn't expect that coming at all. An open world RPG Tom Clancy game.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
I was hoping for more. I really, really thought they were going to have some Rainbow Six. I was expecting that, but then they came up with this. So very ambitious project, that's for sure.
Which studio is making it?
A lot of what we saw, Jen, I think, was ambitious. A lot of what we saw is ambitious, and it just shows gaming is going. I mean, this is the first round of games that we're seeing for new consoles. Look at what kind of ground they're going to break in 4 or 5 years, you know. That ambition that we're seeing now will be standard, and who knows where they're going. There's a lot of ambition out there right now.
With the Division, I do want to bring up another common thing that we saw at E3 is companion apps and smart glass and tablet support.
Yeah, that they're looking for a way to kind of
have that second experience. I understand that Witcher had smart glass support. Some of these other, the Division with that drone. I don't know if you guys watched the demo or if you watched the Ubisoft press conference, but they had this drone that can be controlled from a tablet at a different location real time. So this player on the tablet sees the action, you know, they see a third person view top down of the action that their squad members are experiencing on the console, and they can send in like missile support, they can target, they can provide help. So I thought that was really a really unique way of using, a companion app.
My only opinion on that is I agree with you in that it is pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, this is maybe me personally. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to have a friend over, for example, and say, here, you get to play at the tablet, and I'm going to play this awesome game.
But here's the thing.
You drop artillery rounds for me or
here's the thing,
whatever.
Though, with the Division, I could be at work, or I can be in another country, and I can call up a friend and say, hey, can you find work? And then I can log on my tablet in England or whatever and provide real-time support away from the console. So that's what I think.
That's kind of cool. I'm going to recruit my friends then. Maybe and be like, look, I need your help. I don't care what you're doing. Pick up your iPad and help me out over here.
I don't know, on a train, on a bus.
It is kind of neat.
So we're talking about the tablet gaming kind of, I don't want to say fad, but the emergence of developers using tablets and stuff like the Vita more to enhance gameplay.
Well, the Vita, I'm sure, is going to get a lot more use now that they're pretty much saying every game is going to be able to be played on second screen with the Vita, right?
Yep.
I mean, that means that I don't have to get kicked off the TV. I can, sit upstairs in my bedroom or whatever. And
well, it depends on the range, right? That's going to be the key.
Well, I figure I can do it with the Wii U. So if the Wii U can do it I would imagine that the PS4 will be as equally as powerful for the range anyways, so
imagine
I can do it on the pooper.
Through the Wi-Fi network in your home.
Yeah, well, that's probably more so what it has to do with. So working so far, so it'd be nice to be able to, okay, fine, watch your movie. I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to bring my Vita, and I'm going to play whatever the hell I want, right? That's cool.
We had all this stuff, all these games from E3, and lots of information, especially today with Microsoft backing down, which I kind of feel sends like, we thought this was a great idea, but we're going to switch it because everybody complained. Was it really all that great of an idea in the first place if you're suddenly just reversing what you said just to get sales?
Well, they probably saw their shares drop or, the fact that they were being outsold 6-1 and they went, we're not willing to stick to our guns that much. Let's just put our tail between our legs and change our minds. I mean, some people were saying, they won't do it because they'll look ridiculous. And the internet and the world is quick to move on. There'll be something else that's going to catch our attention in a couple of days and everyone's going to move on and no one's going to care and they're both going to sell. They're both going to sell oodles and oodles and oodles of consoles. So I think in the long run, I think it's going to just work out to be a bit of a moot point. The price is the only real difference. And then, I'm going to go, if I only had to get one, I'm going to go where the games are. I don't care what the cost is so much. So I think it was smart for them in regards to sales because obviously they were dragging behind.
What do you think, Amy? What do you think of that move?
Well, I see it as a business decision, but I also think that maybe they actually did realize they were being too
Aggressive?
I don't want to say aggressive, but they're being too, thinking too far in the future. I don't like the fact that people weren't willing to give it a shot. That, even Microsoft first said this isn't a sprint, this is a long distance marathon. They, recognize that, yeah, we may not please people at first. But that being said, there were some stupid things said.
Like John Matrix. We have a console for people who don't have access to the internet. It's called the Xbox 360. That was just a big fuck you to anybody who doesn't get internet. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Well,
I'm like,
even on top of that, when we interviewed Microsoft Canada's rep, I had said something about, taking your Xbox One to the cabin and you can't use it. He was like, well, there's mobile broadband. And I'm thinking, did you just really say that?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like they were really being kind of dismissive of this whole I don't have access to the internet. And I'm not saying they were being mean to be the sake of mean, but man, like there's some bad PR.
You wonder if almost they were caught. They're like, holy shit, we did not see what Sony had, in their pocket. We didn't see that coming. And they were on the defensive more than anything else. They didn't know what to say. Like, fuck, now what? Right? I mean, all this pressure, all these questions, they were getting hammered. So I wonder if it was more of a bite back, right? They came across probably in a way they didn't mean to, but they did. They came across really, I don't even know what the right word is, aggressive or stupid or whatnot in some of their comments. Arrogant too.
Well, I guess what I am also reading though is, again, I'm on the Xbox MVP forums checking out some of the MVP stuff, and some people are disappointed that they've actually gone back on what they said they were going to do because they were really excited to see some of the ideas. They're sharing the games without a disc needed. Yeah. We're kind of going back to physical media. I really hope that Microsoft uses their resources and their power of what they can do and offers games cheaper digitally to kind of kickstart this digital movement and to give us that incentive to buy it digitally.
And maybe that's what it is like we need to be weaned into it slowly, like you say, right? Like, okay, try it this way. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. Okay, now we're going to do this.
But I don't like the fact that Sony really didn't... Yeah, they built a machine for gaming and a high-powered machine. But really, what innovations have they done to try and go into the future? Whereas Microsoft was doing that. Fortunately, people just wanted that instant gratification. They want those games now. And they want to be able to put their disc in. They want to be able to go to their buddy's house and go, here's my disc, man, you can play it. Totally not thinking about what could possibly be lying in the future. I know Microsoft didn't make these decisions on a whim in terms of what they were going to do, and I still think we can get to them. It's just going to take a little longer now.
The world of gamers just weren't so damn cheap. They wouldn't worry about used gays. No.
Well, it's just funny to say that.
I'm kidding, but
imagine if we were strictly a digital world, though, like a console that was strictly digital.
Well, the physical media adds an extra cost. I mean, you can't deny that if you take that away, eventually they'll see savings. Again, like we pointed out way earlier, that doesn't necessarily mean we will see savings, but you figure in the world of competition, right? Well, I want to sell more than you do. Price sometimes is the only way you can do that. Yeah. Drop the price and maybe we would have seen it. As it is now, that's going to be a what if for a long time, right? They changed their mind.
Fair enough. Jen, do you think Microsoft's announcement, you got really excited about it when they did announce it? Do you think it's going to make a difference? Do you think it's going to make people go, oh, I'm getting an Xbox now. I pre-ordered a PS4. Here we go. I'm going to do the Switch.
I don't know. I've been seeing on social media that people are a bit excited. I don't know.
I have a friend who's been a diehard Xbox guy forever and ever. He, even after the announcement of, oh, no, we changed our minds, he's like, no, you know what, PS4, Sony's getting my money this round. Yeah. And I think part of it is he feels like he missed out on a lot of the Sony exclusives that, because he never bothered with a PS3. And I mean, I told him I says, it's inevitable that there's going to be an exclusive that comes along that is going to be only on Xbox, and you're going to go, God damn it, I wish I had an Xbox. But I mean, that it is what it is. He's being adamant though. He's not switching back despite it. So
I'm not quite sure. I texted a friend of mine I work with, and him and his roommate, they're both, avid 360 fans, refused to buy PS3, but Monday when he came back from E3, he was purchasing a PS4. He was set on it. So I texted him today with the news, and he simply replied back, that's a start. So do they need to prove themselves more? I don't know.
What else do they do to prove themselves? I mean, that's the thing that surprises to me.
I think it's the $100 difference still too.
That's probably it, because I mean, if you look at online experience, yes, we don't know what's coming, with the next gens really, like in regards to the dashboard functionality, that sort of thing. It's always been a more solid experience on Xbox, and Sony's had to play catch up.
I think Microsoft inadvertently turned a lot of people off. One, with their TV, sports, Call of Duty announcement in May, and then when they finally focused on the games, Sony swept under their feet, pulled the carpet out and said, look what we just announced. Cheaper and all this PR about the DRM and the used games and it always online. And it really turned people off. Microsoft's got a lot of mending fences to do, I think. That $100 value or the $100 difference, why is it $100 more? That's what I really want to know. Because they're virtually the same machines inside.
But that's like you said, though, right? When we were talking earlier, you mentioned in regards to the Sony console, you're like, I don't know how they're selling it for that much.
I know, and that really frightens me. Like,
maybe Microsoft's not willing to take as much of a loss. They're like, look, we're giving you a console that's costing us $600 to produce, and we're going to give it to you for $5 because we know you're going to get games. And Sony's taking an even bigger cut, right? I think a lot of people's attitude, when we're saying why are people starting to kind of maybe be a little pissy with Microsoft, I think a lot of people aren't all that, keen on the idea of having to use Kinect.
I don't understand the big deal with that.
They said it can be turned off, and
then why force us to buy it?
I know.
Why not take it out of that bundle? Give us a goddamn headset, which they're not including in a $500 bundle, which is a joke. You take your stupid Kinect, shove it up your backside, give me $100 extra back in my pocket, and a damn headset. Then they're on an equal playing field. And then they're going to start winning people back over. So maybe it is just a start. Take your Kinect and shove it, though. That's my opinion. Unless I want to play Dance Central. If I want to get my White Boy Dance on, I'll plug my Kinect in. But apart from that, I don't want it.
Something that Microsoft is doing different than Sony is with your Xbox One, you get a free year of Xbox Live.
Did they say that, though? I don't remember that.
It's a rumor, right? The free year of Xbox Live?
I'm pretty sure I read it on an Xbox website. But that's what I'm hearing.
Well, that's a start. That's a plus.
I just renewed mine.
Well, hopefully it tacks it on. But there's still so much information, there's so much good, but at the same time, there's still so much uncertainty on both. Because for me, with Sony, it's like, what aren't they telling us? It's almost too good to believe, you know what I mean? It's this cheap. No DRM. Where's the bad stuff?
And that's a good point. Why is it $3.99 as opposed to $4.99? Like, where are they cutting corners? Are they
not giving you an iToy?
Are they also going to include a headset or not? Are they going to try and include some stuff for PS Plus because you need that to play online? I was watching a video of their dashboard today, their interface. Looks not bad. Is it going to be as good as Microsoft's interface? We haven't even seen Microsoft's interface for the Xbox One fully yet. We saw bits and pieces at it at the first reveal, but that's it.
I don't necessarily have a lot of faith in the PS4 interface yet, just because, one, I haven't seen a lot, and two, XMB or whatever they call it for the PS3 is the most confusing piece of garbage.
It isn't going to be the XMB. Like, if you watch some videos out there, there's actually an ad for Sony, and it has a guy coming into his game room or whatever you want to call it, and it shows how the interactivity, the messages come up, how you can quickly go into a game and pop out of the game and see a video of the game you're stuck in and buy downloadable content or buy a digital copy of a game. So their interface has definitely changed, but only time will tell. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, one thing that this whole PS4 and Xbox One has done has really brought out the fanboys who aren't making rational arguments.
They're just throwing hissy fits and pulling hair, and it's kind of funny seeing, I mean, that's why a lot of time I don't read into a lot of these forums or a lot of comments and stuff, because it's a grown adults act really childish sometimes and say stupid things.
Read the comments.
That's right. Never read the comments.
Yep.
Actually, when you do, if you accidentally, because once your eye hits it, it's like a train wreck. You can't look away. Yeah. But your faith in humanity is just a little bit more of it is taken away from you every time. It's like playing in a public room on Xbox Live. A little bit of your faith in humanity just fades away.
True story.
It's true.
I think we're coming to an end, but if there's anything you guys want to add in, now is the time.
Ooh, here's a good question.
Sure, shoot.
Biggest disappointment of E3.
Man, disappointment.
That's a tough one. Into that.
I didn't. Yeah.
The PS4 announcement for me.
I was disappointed that EA made us pay for our food at the food trucks.
But it was good. The Jogasaki sushi burrito was
that was very good.
So good. I didn't mind. You didn't pay for it.
I know, that's why it was even
You
good.
still got it for free.
It was gooder.
It was gooder. It was the gooder.
I guess for me, because I'm like you and Jen and Trevor, that we didn't get all that time to see everything.
I think as my first E3, I didn't expect lineups like that.
There's some crazy ass lineups, and I avoided most of them.
Me too, and I feel I missed out on quite a bit by avoiding those lineups.
I didn't, because, depending on, if it was something I really wanted to check out, I had no problem just kind of lurking over someone's shoulder a little bit off to the side, and just taking in the gameplay. I don't need to twitch my thumbs to look at it and go, you know what, I am going to have fun playing that. And for me, it's like, am I going to wait 45 minutes to get my 5 minutes? Or spend 15 minutes watching somebody, maybe see a little bit more and walk away feeling like I know a little bit more about what I saw.
I can tell you what my biggest disappointment is, but I don't know if I should.
Why?
Kirby, my experience with a certain booth was probably the most disappointing experience I had.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think we all had that couple disappointing booth experiences too, whereas, why did I bother to schedule time with you guys?
Yeah, I had left an appointment with somebody who was really taking the time to show me their game, very proud of their game, to going to just kind of being blown off.
Well, you know what, though? I guess I would assume that it's probably a similar experience for a lot of other journalists that go, unless you are Machinima or IGN.
True.
Greggy Miller could probably show up and he'll get all the attention in the world. Right.
So yeah, I haven't heard your biggest disappointments game-wise. Come on. When I say biggest disappointment, it doesn't mean it sucks.
Hey, you know what? Actually, I can't give you one. I, at this point, am really disappointed in what I saw with Thief. I expected a lot more. I expected it to be a little bit more true to the lineage of Thief, sneaking around, that sort of thing, but they've basically added all the mechanics of popular games, like whether it's Batman or Dishonored, and it seems like they're just catering to try and bring in a new audience as opposed to saying to the people who played it, hey, you remember how awesome that was? Here it is again, just a little more polished. So I do understand that there's still a lot to be done on it. I only saw one level, but from what I saw, not excited, and that disappoints me. So there's my big disappointment.
The counterpoint to that, it made me excited for it, seeing the trailer. I'm like, that looks awesome. And I've never played Thief before, so it's, I guess, working for getting new people like me and turning off fans like yourself.
Well, from what I saw, they're not doing it all wrong, though. And there were some things that I saw that I went, yes, but other things that I saw that I kind of went, oh, that doesn't need to be in a Thief game. I'm not judging saying yet. I'm just saying that from what I saw, it wasn't quite what I expected. So, minor disappointment at this point.
I guess for me, my biggest disappointment, I think, was the fact that not all the games lived up to the hype that I had hoped, especially for Sony. And I'm not trying to bash Sony. I guess when I walked away from Drive Club, and I know it was just one game, it just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, or a bad controller in my hand. That being said, I like the DualShock 4.
I'm in the same camp as you, Kirby. Sony I was expecting better games. So like the games weren't bad. They're just, Xbox had better games.
I guess their reliance on third party really kind of disappointed me. I expected their first party to come out heavier and harder.
I thought we were going to see a Resistance game. I thought.
Weren't you the one that predicted Perfect Dark 1 or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said PlayStation.
Well, I did, but I'm just all of a sudden that thought came in my head too.
No, because that's a rare game, no? That's rare.
It was rare, yeah.
So,
yeah.
and
we were chatting about the historic rare franchise that they were going to
my reasoning was because they did it Perfect Dark Zero, right, with the launch of the 360, so it would have made perfect sense to go with the one tag. Yeah, that was my
You were wrong, Jen. You were wrong.
Let's take your Pokemon tooth away and burn it.
Oh no!
Don't tell Hannah.
All right, let's round it out. If you had to rank Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox in order of what they presented as the big three, I know we can go with the publishers, but let's look at them. How would you rank them?
I can take the lead on this one. Microsoft was number one for me, and I'm gonna jam here, but Nintendo and Sony were about on par. The reason why I'm saying that is Sony didn't impress me with what they could have, because, this is their PS4. And Nintendo impressed me because I walked into their booth and I had fun with their games, and I was a kid again. So I walked out of there with a smile on my face.
Nice.
I didn't go to any of the Nintendo events myself, but for me, it's hard, to not come off as sounding a little bit fanboyish too, for sure. But I agree in that Microsoft came out on top for me, and that purely, and that's throwing away all all the hype in regards to the DRM shit. Microsoft won me in games. Sony won me, honestly. I might not love everything that they've got to throw out there for exclusives, but they did have some that really got me and got my attention, and they sure know how to put a spin on things, because that place was jumping. And then, unfortunately, like, I would imagine that if I'd gotten to see a little bit more Nintendo, I'd agree with you, Kirby, and that maybe almost an even keel, because what little I did manage to see, I'm excited as hell for Nintendo come holiday. Me and my kids are going to have a lot of fun with what they've got to offer. So, I kind of agree. Microsoft took it for me, and then like an even keel for the other two.
How about you, Jen?
I didn't get to see much of Nintendo, and it's only because lack of information on my part. They're going to be my last. Microsoft, PlayStation, and Nintendo.
I'm kind of Microsoft on top. Nintendo really impressed me, but a lot of those titles I do like. I am Pokemon, the new Zelda. Zelda Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda of all time, so to see it coming again.
Side note, I will be posting, I hope this weekend, an interview with the producer of Zelda.
You will.
That was one of my surprise little interviews Nintendo arranged for me. So hopefully I'll have that transcribed over the next couple of days.
The game looks awesome. From the little bit of gameplay that I have seen, it's pretty much the same map, but there'll be like the basic larger landmarks are the same. His house is the same, the castle's nearby, but there'll be different changes. And Sony came out
what he said to me, this was his opportunity to fix the things that he didn't get a chance to make right in the first time he made the game. So it's going to be a much more refined version.
It was almost perfect for me back when I was playing it for Super Nintendo. I just loved it that much. We seem to be on a consensus that we're all Xbox fanboys and lady.
That it sounds that way, but I am excited for the PS4 as well. I mean, I wouldn't have ordered both if I wasn't. So
Sony made me hesitate. They made me go, should I be switching? Should I just hold on to my Xbox and just get a PS4 right now? As I'm sure some of these titles, they may not be dual releasing, but I'm sure I'll be able to still enjoy something from the 360 and have the PS4. So they did a good job of making me think, but I just love the Xbox experience.
Yeah, I agree. Amen. Preach.
I guess we can wrap it up now. So we got all that Twitter stuff, Game Canadian, the COG Arcade. Follow these fine folks at Call Me Sean P, Jen Dingle, and Kirby Y_Y, right? Yes?
Roger that.
_Y.
Speaking of which, Trevor was saying something about you and he wrote KY, and I'm, why is he talking about KY jelly for?
Stop it.
It took me like
careful, Jen's gonna sneeze again.
Be sure to check out CanadianOnlineGamers.com for all of these wonderful previewed pieces. They are really good reads. Check them out. Lots more. It's really great coverage. You guys need to go down for camera next year and just do all kinds of shenanigans.
Sean volunteered to be in a thong.
Yeah.
Did you wear the shirt?
We didn't even have the shirt, but I would have.
No, the shirt Jen was talking about. She didn't bring it?
Did you bring it, Jen?
I did.
What the hell?
I don't know.
We missed our chance. We'll have to do it at PAX.
Well, I'm definitely 100% sure going to PAX East next year, so. Anyhow, GameCanadian.com for our wonderful community. And that's it. We're out.
We're out of here.
Peace out.